Hey guys, welcome back to Level Up with Mitz. Today we got a quick video. I think it'll be quick. We'll see what happens. But I'm trying to solve a problem that I've been dealing with for a while. The problem is this. I do a lot of fishing, a lot of tournament bass fishing. Generally, I'm always leaving really early in the morning and coming back late. What ends up happening is a lot of times there's fog, there's dew, there's mist, there's rain. The bright white pillar lights that I have now end up hitting the droplets of water and acts almost as like a reflector and shoots the light right back at me. What I wanted to do was mirror kind of what my fog lights do. My fog lights are amber. The amber light really seems to illuminate well in those conditions. So the plan is we're going to install these. These are the K8 4-inch series pod lights from Mictuning. So why switch over to these? Well, first, I already have some Mictuning parts in the Jeep. They've been working really well. I have the auxiliary switch, which we'll be able to tie into, and I have the rock lights. So these will be a good addition. Two, I like the idea that these have a lens cover, which will change it from that bright white to amber. So we'll see if that takes care of the issue I'm having. And last, these have a daytime running light built into them, so I'm going to try to figure out how to tap into my existing daytime running lights and have them now also on the A-pillar. So it's a cool little feature to add on. So as usual, I'll link to everything in the description below. Let's dive into the install. This is what comes with these K8 Mictuning 4-inch pod lights. Standard book of instructions with the QR codes on the back. You have the amber lenses and the blacked out lens covers. You have the needed wiring harnesses. This wiring harness comes with a fuse, a relay, as well as an auxiliary switch. You have the pod light itself. Very solid construction. Good heat sink on the back. Waterproof connectors, as well as the leads for the daytime running lights. You have mounting brackets for the lights, as well as the needed hardware. Pretty simple setup, pretty easy kit to install. I did pick up a few additional things to help out. One is a set of A-pillar brackets where the Jeep has 2 bolts right on the hood. They'll fit into these holes. And then I can mount the light right to these brackets. And just in case, I picked up some additional wiring. Now, let's get into the install. First part of this install for me is to remove my existing lights. I've taken the old lights out and now I'm starting to get ready to use the wiring harness to put in the new lights. This can be pretty intimidating. It has 3-4 different ends to it and it's all looped around. It's actually pretty simple. The easiest way to describe this is to look in the manual. Inside the manual, you're going to get a wiring description. All this really is, there's one end for one light. There's the second end for the other light. These would go to each A-pillar. There is a switch. This switch can be mounted wherever you want. The other side of this whole entire thing are 2 key things. Positive and negative. You have an inline fuse. You always want to have a fuse in line with anything you run. That way the problem stops here. If something goes wrong, this fuse will pop, saving the devices that you've installed. The power comes in and lands on this relay switch. This relay switch takes the power from here, ties it into the switch. So when you turn this switch on and turn this switch off, this relay trips, providing power to the lights. Now, my setup's a little bit different, and I'm going to show you why. So here is where my install gets a little bit easier for me. This is my Mictuning 6-gang auxiliary switch. In here, the positive and negative from my battery are already run, and there are 6 available fuses which go to the 6-panel auxiliary switch which I have inside the cab of the truck. I've removed the fuse from port 6, and I've run a positive and negative to my first pod light. Why is this important? With the existing wiring harness, you have your positive and negative to the battery. There's an inline fuse, a relay, and a switch. My auxiliary panel has all that. I'm able to cut the line here, and I'm going to run the positive and negative in this step to my port 6. This will provide power to my lights. So now I have the connector for the right light, the connector for the left light, and my positive and negative, and we're going to wire this into the auxiliary switch. So now that I'm tied into the positive and negative, all I need to do is run each one of these, one to the passenger side, one to the driver's side, and we can connect the lights. There is a foam insert here that you can actually lift up, and the best thing to do is get that cable tucked in right underneath, and then get that foam insert back in. And I'm going to use some zip ties to fasten this right along the channel here, and we'll have each connector where they should be. Here is the connector coming out from the auxiliary switch. So you just take the 2 connectors, push them in, make sure they're tight. They should click. These 2 we'll figure out in a minute. These are for the daytime running lights. This would be for a white running light. This would be for an amber running light. Don't forget about your mounting bracket. The mounting bracket has a label on the front. The light itself has the receiving holes. You're just aligning it. The hardware is provided. And now your bracket's mounted, and we can add that to the Jeep. You'll notice I took this cover off here. It was for access to the wiring. I'll also feed this back through, and this wire will either come up from the back side or the front, but this cover plate goes right on. The new bracket will fit right here. Bolts go right in. And the light itself will be able to mount right on top. Mounting the light to the bracket, take the bolt, pass it through, washer, after some quick adjustments, I was able to get the bracket on, the light on, and I got the wire through. Now we're just going to do the same on the other side. For this project, getting the daytime running lights was probably the hardest part. I had to test out the wiring harness on both sides to figure out what pin was live. I'm pretty sure I have it right. I'm going to show you how I tested it and how I figured out which one to use that vampire clip to tap into. I'm sure most of you are familiar with this guy right here. This is a tool that tests power to a wire or a plug. This end here, the gator clip, you put on a negative, and then you take the point and you touch that to something, and if it lights up, that means you have power. What I'll do next is clip this to negative, put the truck and accessories on, make sure the lights work, and we're going to test the plug. So we're going to unplug the lights. This is the factory plug, and I'm just using this to touch each one of the pinouts. If I touch the pin that I'm in right now, you can see the end of it is lighting up. So first pin has power, and that's the one I tapped into. Second pin, no power. Third pin, no power. Fourth pin, power. So it is either the first pin or the fourth pin. The last one, I believe, is ground. So I tapped into the first wire, and that seems to be working. So this guy right here is called a vampire clip. And basically, you can see the metal U right in the middle. That's going to pierce the wire. When the trapdoor closes, it can then receive a male end wire crimp. So we're going to use this on the driver's side around the white yellow wire and tap that, and then tie in the yellow wire that came with the lights. And what you should be able to see, wire is pinched between the two. When you close the door, it should push it all the way and clip. You may need to use an additional pair of pliers just to get that to close and crimp. Now, with that on, we'll create the end for the yellow wire here, and we'll be able to test it. Here's the final result. This is the headlight harness right here. It's actually clipped in just underneath here, but I was able to pop it out and bring it out. I found this wire here, which is the farthest one to the outside opposite of the black, had power when the truck lights were set to on. That seems to be working just fine. Here is what I found. I needed to take off the entire fender well so that I could get all the way back to right here. This is your headlight harness, and if you can see, this wire right in the middle is going to be your daytime running lights. So I'm going to tap that one. I'll tie in the wire that's coming from the lights, and then we'll go to the other side. So this project's a wrap. The Mictuning K8 4-inch LED pillar lights with the daytime running light features are installed. This video was a good one. If you take your time and step through it, you'll be just fine. There's a little bit of work to get to the daytime running light wire. So let's go through the tests. Right now they're off, obviously. So when I hit my auxiliary switch, that's on, pure white, bright as could be. I can take my lens caps and I can swap them over. So here are the amber covers. Obviously it dulls the light down a little bit, but I'll be interested to see how this does in a low light, foggy condition where before the white lights were just reflecting right back at me. Last, let's take a look at the blacked out covers. So obviously the blacked out covers give them a good look during the day. When you need to use them, you pop them off. I'm kind of interested to see if the light shines through. Nope, they're pretty well blacked out. So you get a little perimeter light, but I think in some states the rules are you have to have them covered at all times other than off-road use. So they include the covers with the kit. The final test is the daytime running lights. They have a nice little boot up sequence to them. They look good on the front of the Jeep. So this is a wrap. It's a level up with Mitz. Thanks for watching. I'll provide everything in the description below. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. It helps out the channel. And we'll see you in the next video.